I remember very clearly the first day I went to the clandestine house. The house is famous not only for its antiquity, but also because of the mystery that it contains. As our car drove by, the iron gate has rusted. I feel the air getting heavy. More stuffy. It's as if there's something invisible, watching every step. The house is next to a small river, but the silence here makes me feel uneasy. The scenery around the house seemed peaceful, but deep down there's a freakish silence. The surrounding houses are quite isolated, and there's no one out there right now. It's just me and my friends, standing in front of the old house. Certainly not this house. One of my group spoke in a somewhat dubious tone. His feeling is right. But I can't deny the curiosity. The urge to go inside, to discover things that no one dares to mention. We walked into the house, through the big rotten door. The creaking of the hinge is a small warning. When you walk in, I realized right away that the air in the house was strange, the smell of cold mold. It seems that this house is no longer taken care of for a long time. Right in the middle of the house, it's a spiral staircase that bends up to the second floor. Every step of the stairs makes strange noises. It makes my heart want to jump out of my chest. My friends and I decided to split up to explore each room. One goes into the living room, the other goes to the second floor. So I decided to visit the room. That's where the most mysterious events happen. That room is where we found these strange traces. There's blood left on the wall. Not new, but it's not old enough to fade. An old diary, found under a thick layer of dust on a wooden table. I opened the diary. The faint lines, but still clear enough to make me shiver. Don't let yourself stay tonight, something has woken up. That feeling was hard to describe. We read these words in silence. No one dared to speak up, there's just a heavy silence that covers the entire space. That's when it all started. We didn't know that the diary is a sign about the terrible things that are about to happen. That night when we decided to stay in the house, everything seemed so quiet that it's scary. The climbing light bulbs, just bright enough to shine on the rotting walls. And the air in the room was heavy. It's as if there's a storm waiting to hit. My friends and I are trying to make it fun, to dispel the fear. But then suddenly, a sound came from upstairs. It's as if that AI is walking around in the dark. The first, we thought it was just the sound of the old house. But when the footsteps are clear and continuous, we're starting to feel insecure. One of us spirit. I decided to go upstairs to check. She climbed the stairs slowly. Every step sounds like a warning. I stand below, I just hear my breath, and strange noises, from the floor. Suddenly Lynn shouted, a voice full of panic. There's that AI in the corner of the room. The whole group jumped up, but when we got to the room, there was no AI. There's just a big, dark shadow shining on the wall. I don't know how to explain it, feeling cold, and then something touched us. And maybe it's been there a long time. The whole group decided not to sleep again, but no AI seems to be able to leave. The darkness around the house, it seems to have swallowed it all, and we couldn't escape the feeling of being watched. Every door is closed. But in that house, something's still moving. It's as if there's a soul that doesn't want us to leave. And then we discovered something strange. The dark shadows that we see, it's not because the light is shining. It's these hazy shapes. It's as if they are standing right in front of us. In the dark rooms. Every time we try to get close, they disappear, but when they turn away, they appear from behind. From the dark corner. At this point I'm beginning to suspect about what the diary wrote. Don't let me stay tonight. A sense of insecurity rises within me, and I can't shake it off. I remember the stories told about this house, about the souls that died in it, about the people who used to live here and mysteriously disappeared. But no one said that these souls can come back to kill. We can't stay like this forever. One of us, Min, it suggested that we leave immediately. But as we tried to find our way out, The main door suddenly closed. It can't be opened. The house suddenly became a trap. While we panicked, I turned around and saw a hazy figure, standing right in front of you. That's a man. The face is unclear, but he seems to be looking at us, smiling as Min rushed to the door, banging hard on it, but in vain. And then a scream of terror cut through everything. I turned to see Lynn lying on the floor. Her hands reached up as if she wanted to touch something, but there's nothing but cold air. Her eyes widened, but there was no sign of life. I can't understand what happened. We ran out, but the door still can't be opened. The house seemed to be holding us together. They don't want us to escape. With the help of the locals, we learned about the history of this house. 15 Typhal families lived here a year ago. But one night they were all murdered in their sleep, except for one survivor. Then the Loss family moved into the house. He only lived 28 days ago. When you have to run away because of these strange phenomena, I gradually realized that this house, it's not just an abandoned house. It's a place for souls. Can't escape. The souls of those who died. And all of us, no matter where you run, still can't escape their shadow. We left that house, but the obsession is chasing us forever. Some people in the group, I started having strange dreams. Dark shadows always appear in the dark corners of the room. And the whispers that they can't explain. We came back the next day with the intention of taking a few pictures to remember, but when we get there, the house is no longer the same. Everything changes. The surrounding air was suddenly silent, and it feels like there's something waiting. And then the shadows appear again. We can't live in peace anymore. The images from the house haunted us. 01 AI in the group can forget the Amityville. It is the home of the dead. It's also a trap. A place where the crimes of the past still exist forever. We paid too much. After that horrible night, I'm beginning to suspect about what we've been through. The house is not simple. It's a place of old memories. It's a place that hides dark secrets from the past. I couldn't understand at the time why the house, they can be so obsessed. The souls that we feel, they are not ordinary souls. They don't just want us to be afraid. He wants to plunge us into the dark that they used to live. Back in the city, I try to find out more about Amityville home. I asked the locals, people who have lived nearby for many years, and the stories they tell are terrifying. They said that this house, it's not a place where people can live long. Every family, every citizen, enters this house. They are all pulled into a terrible game. I can't get out. An old man who lives nearby told me that this house has been cursed since it was built. According to you, the Deo family built this house in the early 20th century. But things started to change since they decided to move on. The neighbors, I heard a strange noise from inside the house in the late nights. But they never thought that something like that will happen. The man said that one night in November 1934, the Typhal family was murdered in my own house. The eldest son Ronald defell. He killed his entire family while they were sleeping. Details of the case, it still causes a stir to this day. But what's even scarier is that after the crime, the house doesn't seem haunted or desolate. It continues to be abandoned until the Los Angeles family moved in 9:35 a.m. The Loss family, with 3 kids who just lived in that house, only 28 days. Throughout that time, they've witnessed strange and terrifying phenomena. Door guards automatically close when no AI is nearby. The sound of footsteps, can't explain, echoing through the house. Silence. They feel the presence of a force, can't see, but it's so powerful that it haunts them every moment. And then another night, our group decided to come back. After hearing so much about the horror stories related to this house, It was a strange urge to pull us back there. It's an inexplicable decision, but we felt like there was something not answered yet. We prepared everything we need, equipped with a flashlight, cameras and recording devices, to record strange phenomena. The group started walking through the dark rooms, along the overcast corridors. But it's not that strange until we went to the Deo's family bedroom. When we walked in there, we immediately felt it. A chill of air. It's as if there's something invisible hiding in this space. And then we saw. There's a big black shadow in the middle of the room. It doesn't move, it just stands there cold and scary. The flashlight's shining on, but that shadow doesn't seem to reflect light. We stood silent for a few seconds, heart pounding. And then a sigh echoed through the room. It's a soft, almost impenetrable sound, pictures but full of people. The whole group immediately turned around and ran out. The door suddenly closed automatically. We can't open the door. I could just stand there panicking and listen for my breath. The sound of footsteps away. I don't understand why we're trapped in this house again. One more time. It feels like there's an AI. It's controlling our every move. There were strange shadows floating around us. The voices in my head, a whisper no one can explain. We know that there's something very dangerous about this house. They are not ordinary souls that we think. One of us, me, decided to learn about the DeFaro family's past. The Loss family. He found some old documents, some books, about strange events related to this house. According to what he found, the Lining family has been haunted by an ancient monster. A dark force that's been around for centuries. It's believed to have caused the death of Deco's family. The strange thing is that it's not a simple soul. It's an entity that can manipulate your mind, people who make them act in bizarre ways. We're starting to feel it. The entity is no longer, it exists only in the darkness of the house. It's affecting us. They control our thoughts and actions. We had no choice but to leave. But when we tried to leave the house, we found out again that even if we run away, we can't escape the evil in the house. The next day I left town, but the memory of the house still haunts me. The shadows are still in my head, the whispers still echoing through the night. Every time I close my eyes, I feel again. It's like standing between cold walls of that house. And I realized something important. Amityville House. It's not just a place haunted by spirits. It's a place where evil never sleeps. It's a house of destruction. And the AI that comes in will pay the price. Every day the memories of home Amityville still haunt me. The dark shadows are still in my mind. Even though I left that house. But I can't escape the feeling. It's like something's still watching me. I try to find a way to forget, but I never could. The strange sounds. The doors automatically shut down, and the shadow is always there. It's all in my mind I can't put out. I'm back to visit the friends who came with me into that house. Min is still alive, but his eyes don't have the same light as before. He's always looking at empty space. It's like watching something that we can't see. Even though she died that night. But sometimes I still feel like she's here. Right in the room, right in my dreams. Can't take it anymore. I decided to go back to the understanding house again. This time not out of curiosity. It's because I have to free myself. Deliverance for the souls are being held in this house. I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel a strange power pull me back there. Upon arrival, it's clear to me that the house has changed. The air seems heavier. It's like it absorbed all the pain and the despair of those who have lived, in which I entered the house. And this time, there's no sound coming from the rooms. There is only the terrifying silence, as if everything had been stopped. This time I am no longer afraid. I went straight to the Daffel family's old bedroom, where all the tragedies begin. every step I take echoing in a quiet space. It's as if I'm walking on holy ground. When I get close, I saw a hazy figure standing in the middle of the room. It's a man wearing an antique suit. A hazy but haunting face. "What are you here for?" A voice in my head. The sound was not from the man's mouth, but from the depths of my mind. "To end it all," I answered firmly. The hazy man looked at me and slowly disappeared. Immediately a cold wind blew through the room, and I felt a distinct change in the air. The walls seemed to move. It's as if they are changing shape. And then I saw it. A large door appears on the opposite side. This door, it's not like any door I've ever seen. It doesn't have a handle, there's only a dim light coming out of the gap. I approached the door. The hands trembled but couldn't stop. When I touched the door, a terrible force pushed me out, made me fall to the ground. Immediately, I heard the chuckle go off. Around me, the whispers begin to rumble in my head. The sound of chaos, I can't think clearly. But then I realized that those laughter. It is not of a soul. It's a presence. An ancient power has taken over this house. An entity that's not human or spooky. It's something that existed a long time ago. When people come here, you can't escape. A defiant voice echoed. But this time I'm not afraid. I am ready to face this evil. I stand up. I am determined not to let this house kill me, as it has done with so many others. I'm no longer afraid. Memories of spirit. Min and the friends who died with me. I can't go back. A war between evil and I have begun. I lit a candle, and then come closer to that door again. When I hold a candle in one hand, powerful light emitting from the candle, illuminating the surrounding space, the shadows begin to retreat, as if they couldn't stand the light. "This is the end," I said, voice echoing in the silent space. The light is getting stronger, and finally the door opened. The house began to collapse. The darkness that it's held for so long has been driven away. When the house completely collapsed, I stood there looking at the rubble. The wise man has been defeated, but I know the souls will stay here. Free from the grip of evil. Has seized them. Throughout the years, I left the house, no longer haunted by ghosts or the forces of evil. The story of understanding home ends here. But what I've been through will never fade away. In my memory, I return to normal life, but sometimes when night comes, I still feel a dim light. In my head, it's as if something has just been released. Amityville House is not a normal place. It's a place of mystery and crime. Even if the house has collapsed, the darkness will continue to exist. As a reminder that the evil never completely disappears.